There we go. What's up, guys? Hey, so gonna get started here. I know we've got this thing being recorded, so hopefully the few that registered that didn't make it can catch this on the recording side of it. But guess I'd just kind of kick it off here. Welcome to the webinar here that I'm putting on. I hope everyone's having a great start of the week. My purpose today here was to introduce more of our agents to RGI, one of our newer lead vendors. We just kind of want to ensure more of our agents are aware of what RGI has to offer here as we ramp up our preparations for AEP. Feels a little crazy kind of saying that here. We're not even in July, but it is happening. So like to extend a welcome to Tim and Bob here from RGI. Thank you for taking the time out of your day here to meet with us and our agents, and thrilled to have you here and share some of your insights. And excuse me. RGI has been delivering great results for our agents. Who have started using their leads. Excuse me. Great company to work with, very responsive, very agent focused. So I kind of wanted to give them a little platform here to get in front of you. Today, we should just be giving you an overview of what RGI is and what they can provide, and tips to maybe how to take advantage of these leads. At the end of this presentation, we'll open it up for a Q&A. If you'd like, feel free to shoot the questions into the chat here so we don't lose track, and we can kind of cover those at the end in a wrap up. And from there, I guess I could just dive in and let Bob and Tim kind of take over here.
I appreciate it. Again, Bob Donnellan at RGI. Just have about a half dozen slides, not a lot to walk you through. I did want to leave plenty of time for any Q&A that you all might have, and really focus on kind of what's different about RGI. I'm assuming there's a fair amount of experience here with everybody on leads and probably direct mail as well. So not going to get into the basics of it, but kind of talk about what's different about us. And then hopefully that will generate some questions at the end of the presentation. Who we are, we've been around for a long time. Hopefully you've heard of us in some shape or form. We've been around over 40 years now. A lot of lead vendors kind of come and go, and maybe around a few years and leave. Very stable. There's not a lot. I mean, maybe Kramer and us are probably the longest term lead vendors in the industry. And when I say in the industry, we are dedicated to insurance. We don't have customers outside of insurance. We don't generate solar leads and then try to sell Medicare Advantage out of them or anything like that. We're 100% focused to the industry. We are the innovator. So we're the first company that came up with a cost per lead on direct mail. Digital, that's the world. Everything's cost per lead. But in direct mail, it's extremely difficult to figure out response rates and test car language to actually get a price. And lead vendors generally don't want to assume the risk, because that's indeed what we're doing. We're assuming the risk for the lead when I quote you a price, because if it costs me more to generate the lead than I quoted you, I eat that cost. You don't have to worry about it as well. We serve over 10,000 agents annually. So we have a large footprint. Again, we have 10,000 opportunities for people to fire us every year, and we try to maintain the best customer service that we possibly can. So that isn't the case, and that's one of the reasons why we are proud to say we've been in the market for 40 years now. From a direct mail lead standpoint, and that's really what I'm going to focus on in this deck, cost per lead, and I'll be talking about what that really means and what are the benefits on cost per lead for you versus the traditional cost per thousand mailers that a vast majority of the industry is doing. We have final expense, mortgage protection, and Medicare Advantage, supplement, and turning 65. And turning 65 will be various months prior to somebody's 65th birthday. We also do sell digital leads with final expense. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we launched our agent recruitment program, which has been very successful. It's basically allowed us to help our clients bring on agents in areas where we had plentiful leads and at a good price. So it kind of works together. We've helped source probably 8,000 agents at this point with that. But again, going to be focusing the rest of the deck just on direct mail. All right. So if any of you are buying digital and you're making the thought about, do I go to the direct mail? This slide's really for you. If you've been buying and using direct mail, for a long time. This is really going to come be a fresher. The main thing to think about is get in the client's head when they fill out a lead form or online versus a lead card, which is you see in the bottom right-hand corner. When they fill out a lead card, it's a much more involved process. And it makes sense if you think about it. They got to open up the envelope. First of all, they got to even decide to open up the envelope. Once they do, read it, get interested, say, yes, I do have some questions. I do need help. I would like to have a conversation with an agent about Medicare. They have to fill the form out, put it in an envelope we provide. It's stamped, addressed. They don't have to worry about getting a stamp. Walk it back out to the mailbox, put it in there. That seems like that's a pretty quick thing, something that would be very easy for them to forget about. Surprisingly not, it's not compared to filling out a form. So the ability to contact somebody, the ability to actually see an image of the form they filled out, reference how wonderful their handwriting is, or something like that, that could say, okay, this is legitimate. This person actually is working with my lead card. The contact rate is much higher. The conversion rate is much higher as well. So what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, as postage rates have increased, certainly our rates are going to go up appropriately, and anyone that charges per thousand will go up as well. We see digital leads go down in price. And what lead vendors are doing, not all, is they're taking a lot of older leads, kind of mixing them with newer leads and getting at whatever price point people want. And we're seeing conversion rate going very, very low, cost of acquisition going very, very high. And now with CMS guidelines and regulations, particularly related to having a one-to-one relationship, we're seeing a lot of our clients having some concerns about those digital leads. And direct mail is great because when somebody fills this out and we deliver them to you, we're not delivering them to anybody else. It's a one-to-one consent, and it obviously satisfies some, but not all of the CMS requirements that come out every year. But it seemed to be very important for CMS to say, look, when somebody fills out a lead, whether it's online or a paper lead, they're really wanting one organization. They're wanting one person to contact them, and that's what's accomplished with direct mail.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
gonna have to.
was
There you
that
go. Yeah, we lost audio there for a sec. Sorry about that.
all right? Sorry about that. So the point I was making, about 95 to 99% of the leads sold today are in this left-hand side, CPM, or cost per thousand. That's the traditional way of doing it. The lead vendor assumes no risk whatsoever. They know the cost of mailing. They put their profit margin on there. You have to pay up front, and generally they don't guarantee how many leads you get back. They generally do no lead card testing. They don't carve up data like I'm going to talk about, because that's just extra cost to their business. But it is what you get, and that's a vast majority of what's out there. So there's no way of really gauging what's going to be a company that's going to deliver more leads or less. CPL, which is what we do, is a very difficult thing to do profitably over a long term. It's great because you only have to pay when a lead gets uploaded. Now, you may get a lead 6 weeks after you order. In CPM, you got to pay everything up front. CPL, you only pay as leads come up. So it's great there. We need to be able to preserve the number of people we're going to mail in your area so that we can deliver a consistent flow of leads, and we're figuring that out. We are also going to, and we have a slide on this, deliver leads that are fresh to you on a regular basis. So we're taking away the burden that you have on the CPM. We have to decide, well, I'm going to place another order, because by the time you decide to place another order, it's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks before you start getting leads in, and that's not efficient, right? Whereas if you say to RGI, hey, I want 20 leads a week, just sit back. We're going to generate that. We're going to decide how much mail to mail any given week to get that 20% or 20 leads consistent. The other thing we do is we try to avoid burnout areas. Burnout areas are where you've mailed the same lead card over and over again in an area. And if any of you have done this before, you probably experienced this, where the lead flow used to get 20 leads, now you get 18 leads, and now you only get 12 leads. That's generally because people have seen that same lead card, even though it may be 90 days later, they still see that lead card. So they're desensitized to it. They don't read the message anymore if they even open up the envelope, and they don't fill it out. What we have to do, since we're assuming the risk, is we got to change up the card language. We got to change up the envelopes. We got to make it interesting. We got to give a reason for somebody to fill it out today when they did not fill it out yesterday. And again, that's RGI assuming the risk for that. Now, how we do this is really, really interesting. It's called segmentation. And to be able to do segmentation, you have to have a data sciences department. That's a lot of really expensive eggheads that do a wonderful job. But in the CPM world, there's no reason to do this. In the chart or the image on the right, you see 10 boxes with a person in each box. So if you are in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, and we're mailing Medicare Advantage for you, we're going to know everybody we can mail in that area. And we're going to split them. There's going to be 10% in each box. Box 10 represents those people who are most likely to be interested in having discussion with you about Medicare. Likewise, box 1, those people will never fill that out. This goes beyond age and income. This goes into other things about the people that we know that just suggest they're going to be interested or not interested, and that's called segmentation. So what we can do is say, of all those people that we're going to mail, we're only going to mail 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to do that because we can now offer you a cheaper lead in the market because our competitors don't know the difference. They're going to mail number 1 just as likely as they're going to mail number 10. So they're going to get less leads. Therefore, your effective cost per lead goes up. Their price per thousand stays the same, but the amount of money you're paying per lead that gets generated will go up when they don't do segmentation. And that's the benefit of RGI because we're already doing this because, again, we have to assume the risk for the drop. So we want to make sure we make money. We also want to make sure that our price per lead compared to everybody else is below competition, below market. This is kind of a summary slide, but it talks about working with us, what you can expect. On the left-hand side is our flexibility in terms of where and how we generate leads for you. So if you want to go to another county or another state, maybe with a group of agents to work leads one time, we can do that for you. We'll tell you how many leads are there, what the price is, go there and work them. We will drop mail so that those leads start getting returned as you're entering that market. Likewise, if you work 3 or 4 counties and you have a certain schedule, the same thing. Let us know as you get when you want these leads, and we'll drop the mail automatically in our system so that those leads come in when you're ready to work them. Therefore, you're not sitting on a direct mail lead for 4 weeks by the time you get into a specific county. The second part in the middle here talks about how we can deliver more leads than anybody else. So when you order traditionally with a lead vendor, they're going to go to a database company and say, hey, I need a list to mail. It's got to be fresh. I want people that are only living in there. People who moved out, get rid of those people for my client, which is great. We, on the other hand, actually have a full consumer database in-house. So we don't have to go to anybody initially. We have it all in-house. But remember what I talked about before. We decide not to mail people. So we start out with less than our competition, even though our competition has people that you shouldn't mail. We take our list and we go to a second database vendor because nobody has everybody in the United States. It's actually not perfect. You'd think it is, but all databases are different. We go to that second guy and we say, look, give us everybody in Allegheny County that fits this criteria that's not in this initial list, which would be the 60 you see in the gray there. And in general, they give us another 40. Now we're back up to 100, but we're up with 100 people who respond at a higher level. But we do this 2 more times. We go to 2 other database providers. So now we're at 200 people we can mail. All of these people are high responders that are more likely to say, I do want to have a conversation with somebody about Medicare. That's how we can generate a lower price lead and, quite frankly, more leads than our competition who only uses one data vendor. We call this a waterfall effect. We're the only one where it does it. We've had these relationships with database vendors for over 10 years now. They don't want to have any more. It's actually quite cumbersome for them. But we have that relationship. We buy a lot of data from them. And we're able to do that. The far right is testing. A/B testing basically means you test two cards at the same time. Whatever card performs best, most people respond. You keep that. Then you bring another card in. That becomes the new B. And you do it again, over and over and over, and you never stop. For Medicare Advantage, today, we might have 12 or 20 different cards going into mailboxes across the United States. And we're doing that to see which message resonates best with people that you want to have discussions with about Medicare. Now, having to do this, you need a system, you need people in place that are just focused on testing. Again, that's extra cost, which we need to do to run the business the way we run it on a cost per lead basis. But our competitors, that's just extra cost that makes them price uncompetitive. People generally come on and work with RGI because it's a cost per lead and they can save money in terms of cash flow and all that because they only pay when leads get uploaded. This is why they stay. This is why they're sticky. And this is why we know we cannot mess up because this is our biggest advantage. If you look at that chart and you look at those little line graphs, that represents how many leads you get when you order leads from us or you go to a CPM vendor and say, I want to mail 2,000 pieces. The first couple of weeks, you get a lot of leads, and then it starts trickling off. By week 7, you're probably getting your last lead in there. What we do is when we decide when we're going to mail, we're knowing what the result should be. So let's say we've been working for 6 months, and you want 20 leads, 20 Medicare Advantage leads a week in your area. Well, our system is already looking at the previous weeks that we mailed for you and forecasting how many leads are still supposed to come in on those campaigns. And then we also know, hey, you're probably going to order 20 leads 4 weeks from now. So I need to put mail on the street now for 4 weeks and 5 weeks because I also need to be up to 20 leads a week back then. So our system does this automatically. There's no guesswork. You don't have to decide when to place another order because then you can start having gaps in leads where you don't have a lot of fresh leads. This isn't set it and forget it. Our opinion is you don't have to be in the lead business. That's what we do. That's all we do. We don't sell insurance. So let us do this for you. Let us generate the leads for you. You focus on helping people. You just tell us the result that you want. And then the bottom in the green there is it does save you cash. If you're spending $2,000 every week on leads, you're going to be spending something less than that with us because you're only paying for leads when they get uploaded. Okay. I promised you it was not going to be a long deck. Hopefully that wasn't a long deck and somewhat interesting. Tanner, I'll turn it back to you.
Here at this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions here. I'm going to go through and make sure people can turn their mics on here. If there's any questions, feel free to pipe up here. I'll give a few minutes.
Hey, Don, my name's Derek Baltimore. I have a question for you on your effective cost per lead. Can you give me some ideas on the 20 example you just you shot out a couple of times?
In terms of what the price would be?
Correct.
Yeah, good question. So what we generally do, every county, so for Medicare Advantage, every county in the United States, our system is actually tracking the response rate. So the number of people that will respond to our piece versus 1,000 pieces mailed, right? So we know what the price is going to be. What we do though with our clients, instead of saying, okay, here's different prices all over the time and it changes, that doesn't make sense for you, doesn't make sense for your business. So we typically will set a price per state and we keep that price generally for about a year. That way you can budget how much you spend on leads, and you kind of know what that's going to look like, along with the fact that we're going to tell you how many leads we can deliver in your area as well. And we try to keep that very consistent. What the price may be for your specific area, I wouldn't know off the top of your head, but we could work with Tanner to get you that price.
Thank you. In the same regard question, if I didn't want to focus on the MA market, do you do SUPs, and then do you have an idea on the SUP market? It's a completely different market, obviously.
It's interesting because what we see in terms of pricing changes between the two products. You would think Medicare Supplement Advantage would be about the same price, and T65, Turning 65 would be less. You would be right on Turning 65. Turning 65 is generally much easier to generate a lead for me than Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement. I would say, and Tim, add to this, I would say about a year or two ago, Medicare Supplement would be a lower price than Medicare Advantage. I see the opposite right now. I see Medicare Supplement being a higher price than Medicare Advantage. Tim, would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely somewhat flip-flopped. And, I think the thing about pricing that's important to keep in mind is it is always, in essence, a moving target. And that's one of the huge advantages with RGI. Like there's times where it's a good thing for us, and we might be making money in a state, but then there's times that we start losing money. So it's keeping that consistency there. It's good for the client, and we do our best to maintain that. But yeah, from a pricing standpoint, definitely what Bob said. We have T65 at 5 months, 6 months, 7 and 8 months out. That's the durations. That tends to be at the furthest duration out. That's going to be the cheapest lead on the street generally for us. And then it is going to increase as you get closer to that event to actually turning 65. And then, like Bob said, MedSup and Medicare Advantage, they'll tend to flip-flop a little bit, but MedSup has lately been the higher price of the leads. We also have final expense program as well on the CPL side, so we've got that lead available too.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bob, real quick, I had to mute you there because we were getting a little bit of feedback, so I just wanted to make you aware. Anybody else have any questions here while we got these guys here in the lobby? Feel free to unmute yourself. If not, if anything comes up, obviously you can shoot me an email or Paul an email, whoever your contact is up here. Either or could be happy to help you out and get you connected. That being said, I guess we can kind of do a little wrap up here and just kind of thank you guys for attending, and hope you guys found it informative. Special thank you to Tim and Bob here for taking the time out of their day to meet with us. And as we move forward for the AEP prep here, remember the fantastic opportunities that RGI can provide. If anything further questions needed, any additional information, like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thanks again for participating, and look forward to seeing the results.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, Bob, Tim.
Thank you.
Yep. Talk to you soon, Tanner.
All right, guys.